What's going on, guys? It's time to shout out my newest subscribers. We have Stacy Marie, OG, Patsy, Laura, JD, and Old Abe. If you'd like to become a subscriber and get a shout out, you can join me over on TikTok, subscribe to my channel, find the links in the descriptions. Also, if you'd like one of the Myths, Monsters, and Mullets t-shirts, you can email me at mythsandmullets@gmail.com and we'll set you up. Now it's time for the show.
It looked like a dog, you know. They call it like the dog man or something. I mean, this thing was built. I mean, this thing was rugged. I mean, it's something I wouldn't want to tangle with it, you know.
One night, I'm sitting there and I had a dead body in my bed.
Yes, that's when I started hearing the doors opening and closing and them walking through the house.
We were looking up and there was this thing in the sky. And we were just drawn to it. All I can remember was it was silver, and we were just like standing there watching it.
Welcome back to Myths, Monsters, and Mullets. I am your host, John Methencamp. On tonight's show, we have Cindy and Wendy. Cindy is a return guest, and this time she brought backup. So why don't you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves?
All right, my name is Wendy Harrison. Cindy and I have been best friends next to forever.
And I'm Cindy. I found her under a rock.
Lies.
Wow.
Gosh,
When you've been friends for 45 years, you're allowed to say whatever.
That's very true. Very true. So Cindy came on about a week ago,
Yeah.
and was telling about things that were happening in her childhood home. But she told me that you both have some encounters that you both witnessed.
yes.
So
I don't know what else she told you about her house. My experience with her house was the stairway and all of upstairs was always very dark, literally and figuratively, like literally. It could be the middle of the day and you could walk up that stairway and not see your hand in front of your face.
So not just dark, I mean like
Dark.
physically dark.
Right.
That's
literally
freaky in
just
itself.
yes, with cold spots throughout. Yes.
Wow.
There were plenty of windows upstairs. There was no reason for it. There was no logical reason for it to be dark, but it was always dark.
Wow. So other than the darkness, what did you have happen there?
So one of the first things that I experienced with Cindy was the staircase was enclosed and the doorway to the bottom of the staircase we had opened to go upstairs. And just as we looked upstairs, which was dark, of course, we saw a figure in white, it looked like a woman to me, walking from Cindy's room across the hall to the spare bedroom. We decided not to proceed upstairs at that point. Because it really freaked us out pretty much. So that was one of the first experience I had there.
So this figure, did it look male or female?
No, it was definitely a woman.
Okay. And could you see through it at all?
I didn't think so. I thought she looked pretty solid.
Okay. Couldn't make out any features though, as far as the face or anything like that?
No, just that she was in a dress and it was like a long, kind of flowing dress.
That's the only time that you guys saw that?
Yeah, well, it's the only time I saw it.
Okay. So then what happened?
So then Cindy and I and our friend Rhonda were all in Cindy's bedroom one night. And we were watching TV and talking. and her bedroom door was closed, and the bedroom doorknob started to shake. We thought it was her brother, being her brother.
This wasn't the same time as I told you before either. At that time, I was by myself.
So the doorknob thing happened more than once.
Yeah, which I had forgot about this one.
Yeah, so we thought it was her brother. We didn't think anything of it, A couple minutes later, it happened again. I think at that point, Cindy yelled at her brother and told him to knock it off. You're not funny. No response. After a few minutes, it happened again. That time, Cindy got up and yanked the door open. All of us fully expecting to see her brother, and there was nobody there. So at that point, we were a little freaked out. And then it happened again. And again, Cindy opened the door. And at that point, she went into her brother's room, and he was not home. He was not there at all.
So nobody was upstairs.
No, just us. So we stuck it out for a little longer. We were all in the bed watching TV and talking about what had just happened. And a candle that we lit on Cindy's dresser blew out. And that's when we decided we were going to sleep downstairs.
And how old were you guys at this point?
Oh, God. Probably, I was maybe, 12, 13, something like that. So.
Wow. So, I mean, it wasn't like you were just little kids and,
right.
Active imaginations. I mean, you're.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We tried talking our way out of it. Like, we tried figuring out some logical explanation, and there was none because nobody was up there but us. And this wasn't just a little jiggle. This was, we could visibly see the doorknob shaking. It was aggressive.
Wow.
And when we realized that her brother was not upstairs, I mean, we couldn't explain that away, of course. And then when the candle blew out, there was nothing. There was no fan on, no windows open. There was no air movement in that room at all. So for this candle to literally just go out, and it was a brand new candle. Yeah, that was that was our last time that whatever was up there did not want us up there. And so we hightailed it downstairs, and that's where we slept.
Wow. Yeah, that would freak me out too.
Yeah, so that was probably the scariest encounter I had in that house.
But did you ever see anything else though? I mean,
I'm sure I had. A lot of it I've probably blocked out, I would say. A lot of the time it was, I think it was you, me, and Rhonda together a lot of the times when stuff happened. Yeah, it was like the three of us experienced a lot together. Yeah.
So outside of the house, did you ever have any other paranormal encounters?
No.
Tell me about the time that I was at home by myself and I came.
Yes. So there was a time, Cindy was probably 14, 15 years old. I live in Gettysburg. She lived in Bradford, so that's about a 4-mile, separation. She called my house one night and said, I'm home alone and there's somebody upstairs. And so I'm freaking out, and I'm yelling for my dad because we got to get to Bradford to see what's going on. We could hear the footsteps on the phone. She held the phone out. We could hear the footsteps. So we get in the car, me, my dad, my two brothers, fly to Bradford. While in the house, we were still hearing footsteps. My dad and my brothers looked everywhere, and there was nobody in that house. Not one soul.
So even when you got there, you could hear the footsteps?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And then my dad looked at Cindy and said, leave a note for your parents. You're coming to our house. You're not staying here. So I think we were all a little freaked out, so.
Yeah, I would be too. I mean.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
So let me tell you about the Cindy Wendy connection And you will understand that term when I'm done telling you. So we met through our older brothers. Cindy's got one brother. I have three. My two older brothers went to school with her brother. One day he came over and brought Cindy with him. And we've been best friends ever since. And that was way, way too long ago. But anyway, we have the same middle name. We had the same nickname, which was Pooh or Pooh Bear. Our house address was the same. Our grandmother's names were the same, which is a name you don't hear very often. It's Lavina. Her grandma, my grandma had the same name. What else? We both are avid animal lovers. I mean, the connection was instant. Like, there were so many things that her and I connected on. It was almost eerie.
I gave birth to my son on her 25th birthday.
Yeah, her son was born on my birthday.
He wasn't due till late January. He's born December 1st.
It had to be on my birthday, see? So that's the Wendy-Cindy connection. And
I think Cindy mentioned, like, there's been times where, like, something's wrong with the other or something like that.
Yes, absolutely. There's been times I've not talked to her or seen her in weeks, even months. And I was going through a rocky patch in my marriage, and she called me one night because she just knew I hadn't talked to her. She lived in Lima, which was over an hour away from me. And she called me, and the first thing she said was, "What's wrong?" She just knew.
Yeah, I think she told me about that.
Yeah. So.
Wow.
That's the connection. I don't know if we were separated at birth. Oh.
You guys aren't the same age, though.
No, she's 2 years younger than me. Weird, I know.
Which I take advantage of that because when she turned 13, she told me I was too young to be her friend because she was a teenager and she couldn't be friends with me no more. So when she turned 50, I was like, "You're too damn old to be my friend."
And now we're still stuck. We're still stuck with one another.
So there's a couple of things that I thought about later on from the house. So when I was about 5, 6 years old, I was in my mom and dad's bedroom jumping on their bed. And I put my feet out in front of me to like land on my butt. And for probably 30, 40 seconds, I just like was in midair and did not drop until my mom screamed at me for jumping. She's like, "I need that jumping." And down I went. So that was just kind of weird.
Yeah.
Let's see. And then, like, on my 13th birthday, I had slept on the couch because I had fell asleep watching a movie. And I woke up about 4:30 in the morning, and I knew there was just something wrong with my brother. My brother and my cousin, because my brother was 5 years older than me, they had went fishing at Wendy Point. And I went in and I woke up.
Speaking of Wendy, we're getting a lot of wind in the microphone.
Should we go sit in the car?
Yeah, we'll move to the car.
Okay.
We are in the car.
Okay, that sounds a lot better.
Let me get a drink real quick.
Okay. So you're in the middle of telling me about the fishing.
Okay, so on my 13th birthday, I had fell asleep watching a movie, so I slept on the couch at night. I woke up about 4:30 in the morning, and I just felt like there was something wrong with my brother. And I went in and woke mom and dad up. And about 5 o'clock in the morning, we get a phone call from the sheriff's department. My brother and my cousin had been up at Wendy Point fishing, and a couple guys had broke into their truck and stole the radio, and then came back and set the truck on fire. And it's like I just knew something was wrong, and that's what had happened.
So like you had this feeling that something's wrong. So did they call you or did you call them or?
the sheriff's called
Oh,
us.
wow.
Like I didn't know what was wrong. I just knew there was something wrong. And I told
Yeah, so
I'd woke
you'd have
up
been
and
13. We didn't have cell phones back then.
yeah. And my brother, is 5 years older than me, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I just never kind of forgot that and it was on my birthday too. And I didn't even know that they weren't home.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, those feelings, that gut feeling,
Yeah.
just almost makes you sick to your stomach.
Yeah.
Yeah. You would text me an encounter you had just the other night.
Yes. So March 1st of 2024, I had to take my dad off of life support. And like within a minute, he passed away. So then in January of this year, I'd had a dog for about 10 years, and she was roughly 12, 13 years old. And she started having seizures out the blue. We have no reason or no known reason what caused it. They kind of suspect that she probably had a tumor on her brain that was causing it. In mid-February, she'd had another seizure, and we were pretty sure that one caused brain damage. But the doctor put her on medications, and then she got really weird acting with that. So then he's trying to change her onto something different, and we went through a whole bunch of stuff, and it just didn't work. So I decided to go ahead and put her down because she was just getting worse. And well, we ended up putting her down on March 1st of 2025, so 1 year apart from losing my dad. And I had a really hard time with putting her down because she wasn't physically in any type of pain, but mentally she was just going. Like, it was almost like she had dementia type thing, and she would just pace. Like, if she was awake, she was just walking the same, like almost like an animal in a zoo, how they walk the circle or whatever. She just would do that for hours and hours. And she had some arthritis in her back legs and her hips and her back. So every now and then her leg would give out and stuff. So I don't know. I had a hard time putting her down because I've always been an animal lover, but there was just a connection I had with her that, she was just like my baby. But she's the first and only animal I've ever had cremated. So I just had gotten her back last Tuesday. And it just kind of bothered me because I was, I not sure how much mentally she was aware of what was going on with her, or that I was even there with her. There was a couple times she would get to where she'd be snappy because she always liked to be on the bed, but she couldn't jump up on the bed anymore. So when I was trying to help her get up there, she would snap and bark and or growl and like she was gonna bite me, but then she would catch my scent and she would be fine. But I had a hard time with the fact that when I was sitting there holding her and telling her goodbye, that not knowing if she even heard me or even recognized me or anything at that point. So when I had came home, it was just I was thinking about her all day, and I was sitting in the parking lot thinking about it. I just wish I knew that she was okay and that she knew why I did it and stuff. So later that night, this is 4 hours later, I had been doing housework and I went in to clean the bathroom and stuff, and it was just me and our other dog at home. And he's 100-pound labradoodle, so he's huge. She was 60 pounds. Pit bull boxer mix. So I'm cleaning the tub, and she always, anytime I went in the bathroom, she'd push the door open and come in. And
So I'm cleaning the tub, and Seeger comes in and pushes the door, which is kind of, he never really done. So I turn and look at him, and for like, I don't know, he's probably there for a minute or so. And then I turn back to see what the hell he's doing, because he never, comes in the bathroom with me. And his face, I literally seen it happen, changed to her face. And for about 30 seconds. And it's like, what was weird is I didn't say anything. It didn't freak me out. And we just locked eyes. And then I would say that would last maybe 20 to 30 seconds. And it was like, I just went, he's got Leah's face. What the hell, in my head. And then, which is funny because there's a dog that looks like Leah right there walking. We're sitting at the park right now. And these people just walking across the street are walking a dog that looks just like Leah. But anyway, so after it happened, it was like, I just have a piece. Like, I think she was just letting me know that she was okay. But then I got to thinking about it. Everything was like in slow motion during that time. And there was absolutely no sound. Like, I had the TV on, and there was like that whole entire 30 seconds, there was nothing. So, I don't know.
And those two dogs, I mean, that's two totally different looking breeds.
Yeah. I mean, nothing. Like, he's huge. He's got the wiry hair. She's, was short haired. I always called her my naked dog because she always cold and didn't have much fur to her.
Wow.
So,
I've never heard of that before.
Yeah. I don't know. Since that's happened, I'm not worried about her anymore. And I feel like she's okay. And she was letting me know that she understood.
Or maybe, she sensed that you were feeling that, and just like, hey, here I am. It's fine.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And then another thing that I was going to tell you, and I forgot when we were on the phone the last time. My mom died in 2014, and Dad died in 2024. She died in July, and he died in March. Their time of death was, on their death certificates, were both 8:37 p.m.
Really?
Yeah. So,
wow.
And to me, it was just Dad saying that he was back with her. Because they were married for 45 years. He didn't know how to be without her after she died.
Oh, wow. I would say, what's the odds of that? But
yeah.
I mean, it's
we're going to die
one in 3,600.
Yeah.
Or whatever that is.
Yeah, very odd.
Yeah.
And then my grandparents' house, they had this big 5-bedroom house, and then off of the kitchen there was like 2 steps, and then you kind of went, I wouldn't really say it was a basement, but it was a little bit lower level. And there was a big room and bathroom, and then there was a doorway, and there was like this long hall that went out to an attached garage. Well, and where that long hall was, when they had bought the house, there was like a big stove like that, they'd put coal in it to heat the house back then. You would always hear in the middle of the night, like somebody was putting coal and stuff in the stove, even though the stove was no longer there. There was no coal in the house.
This is the time in the show when most people would have an ad break for their sponsors. I don't have any sponsors. So if you'd like to support the show, you can do it a couple ways. One, you can go over to TikTok, subscribe to my channel, You'll get some perks over there, such as early access to all the episodes before they come out, some fun little stickers to use during the chat, and a shout out before the next show. The other way you can do it is by buying me a coffee. Go over to buymeacoffee.com, look for Myths, Monsters, and Mullets. You can make a small donation there. Eventually there will be upgrades to that, where you'll get the same perks as you do on TikTok. Thank you for your support. So there wasn't even a stove there?
No,
Oh,
not
wow.
at this point. And my grandma and grandpa used to see like people or ghosts, I guess I should say.
I really do think that this, your sensitivity to the spirit world is
Yeah.
generational based on what
Yeah.
we talked about last time and even this. I mean, yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So
So-
Wendy's got some more stories too. So
Well, she does.
yeah.
So I don't know if you heard me last week when you were talking to Cindy and you asked her if she was RH negative. And I said, I am. But I am RH negative, and I've always heard that RH negative people are a little more open, experience more stuff.
It's because you're aliens.
I've been told, and I act accordingly. So there's that, you know.
Well, that is one of the theories, is
I'm
that
a normal one.
Yes.
RH negative is an alien blood type.
I've heard aliens, and then I've heard the term pure human because we don't have the rhesus factor.
There ain't no truth to that.
So I'm like,
That's true about your ass.
so I'm like, you know, that's both ends of the spectrum there. Either I'm human or I'm alien. So there's, you know,
Or you could be part Nephilim.
yes, I've read about that also. I'm not gonna lie, that would be awesome.
Well, if
Yeah,
you
why
are,
not?
maybe you can speak to Bigfoot for me.
I know. I would absolutely love to.
Me
But,
too. I would love for you to speak to him and say, hey,
Yes.
John wants to talk to you. Can you come on
Right?
Myths, Monsters, and Mullets and do an interview?
Absolutely. Let's go. Come on. I definitely would not be afraid. I'm not afraid of anything on earth. So that's how I'm gonna leave this world. I will be eaten by something.
Have you ever heard of Dogman?
Yes.
I'd be
Yes,
afraid
I
of
am.
Dogman.
Yep. I don't know a lot. I know I've seen some stuff on Facebook about Dogman.
Yeah, most of the encounters with Dogman are not friendly.
Yeah.
And everybody says that when they encounter them, they
My
feel like
sugar
it's
girl,
pure
you never
evil.
Well, maybe I should be afraid of Dogman.
That is one cryptid that I think if I came face to face with, I'd probably poop my pants.
That'd be it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the things that connected Cindy and I right away is she lived on 2 East Church Street. My address was Harrison Street. Harrison Street in Bradford.
Oh, I was thinking in Gettysburg because you said you were in Gettysburg. I was like, I don't know where
Well, she
Harris
moved to
is.
Gettysburg later on.
Yeah, I live in Gettysburg now. When we met, I lived in Bradford.
Okay.
And then we moved to
Okay.
Greenville and then we moved to Gettysburg.
So
'Cause
our
I lived
houses-
in Gettysburg until I turned 11.
Oh, okay.
I lived on Main Street.
Let them. I don't care.
Coming for the alien.
Right?
They're
there are
trying to come
people.
and get your blood.
I'm telling you, there are people out there who are convinced that we all need to die. So there's that.
Yeah, we'll cut this little part out, okay?
Yeah, it's a little terrifying. So, but we always joked, you know, that we were meant to be best friends because of all the stuff we had in common. But our house in Bradford and Cindy's house, where the upstairs was set up almost identical. You go up the stairs, there's a bedroom to the left, one straight ahead, and one to the right. In both of our houses, our bedroom, my bedroom and Cindy's bedroom was on the right. that is where I had a lot of my experiences in our house. And one of the things that happened on a pretty regular basis is I would always get my clothes out for school the next morning before going to bed, and I would fold them up and put them at the foot of my bed. Then the next morning when I would get up, they would be back in my closet.
Like back on hangers?
Back on hangers, socks back in the drawer. Everything that I had laid out would be back where I had gotten it from.
Like this happened until you were how old?
Yeah, so I was probably about 11. It happened
Really?
enough that eventually I just stopped setting my stuff out because I knew it was just going to be put back.
Yeah, and if I was your parents, I'd be like, she didn't get that out. She just told me
Right.
she did.
Well, one of the things, growing up in my family, was the religion that we were in. And I couldn't tell my parents any of this. There's no way.
Yeah.
They would have had, a pastor in there exercising me in the house and everything else. It would have been bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I have an episode coming out very soon, and it's myself and two pastors and another podcaster, and we're discussing the paranormal and the Bible. So
yes.
yeah, that's going to be, we kind of touched on that, like
Yeah.
why some Christians, believe in the paranormal, and then others it's just evil. It can only be evil.
Yes. And that was the religion that I grew up in, was it's not anything supernatural. It's a demon. Anything that happens, it's because there's a demon in your house. There's a demon attached to you. And I knew that especially my mom, if I would have brought it up to my mom, yeah, she would have immediately been like, yeah, I can't even imagine.
Get an old priest and a young priest.
So, yeah, I'm telling you, she would have been, yeah. So I dared not say anything to either of my parents. But there were things that happened that they could not, that my dad experienced, that I don't know if he ever really acknowledged it in any kind of way, but like one night we were playing hide and seek. It was me and my two older brothers and my dad. My dad would go and hide. Me and my brothers would count. And so we counted and we all ran upstairs, and one of my brothers went into my room. My older brother went into his room, and I went into my other brother's room. And across the room, it was dark, but I could see my dad standing there across the room. He was under a sheet. And I said, "Oh, I found you. You're under the sheet." And then I took off back downstairs. And when I got to the living room, my dad and both my brothers were sitting there.
But they didn't see this. Only you saw this.
Only I saw it. And I told my dad, I said, "You were just upstairs." I said, "I just saw you under the sheet." And he was completely clueless. He had no idea what I was talking about. I said, "I did not imagine this. I'm telling you, I literally just saw this." So he ended up going upstairs to show me there was nothing there. And the sheet that was over whatever was laying on the floor.
Oh, so this wasn't like on a bed. It was just like standing up.
It was in midair. I thought my dad was hiding there. Yeah, and it was not him. He was downstairs the entire time. He hadn't even gone upstairs to hide. So it absolutely positive it could not have been him. It could not have been either of my brothers because they were in different bedrooms at the time. So
it was kind of like Beetlejuice.
yes, absolutely. Yes, for sure. Terrifying. Wow. I was never so happy to move out of that house. Yeah, it was terrifying.
God, I mean, that's not even that's not even the typical ghost. That's the stereotypical ghost.
Yes.
You know, like that's what you see in movies and
Yes.
cartoons and stuff. Holy cow.
And that's what I thought my dad was going for. Ha ha ha, look at me, I'm going to scare you and look like a ghost.
Yeah.
And it was not him. So, but he never really talked about it after that. He saw the sheet laying there, you know. I think he knew that I wouldn't lie about something like that. But he really had no explanation for it, and so he just kind of dropped it. So
Yeah, I think there's two different ways that people. Well, there's three. There's people who just, okay, the paranormal exists. I saw it. It has to exist. Two, I saw it, but there's got to be a logical explanation for it, and I'm going to figure it out. And even when they can't figure it out, they just still say, well, it's still not paranormal. And then there's those who just flat out will not believe it. It's not paranormal. You know, just like you said, just drop it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it's their way of living in denial so that they can live in a, you know, marshmallow filled world where nothing like that happens.
Yeah.
I personally think that it goes on like it's always happening. Just some people are more sensitive to it and notice it, and other people don't.
I absolutely agree with that. And I think that once you have a paranormal encounter, and you come to the realization that the paranormal does exist, supernatural, whatever you want to call it, spiritual, because there is that debate, is paranormal just spiritual? But you have good and evil spirits, you know, in the spiritual realm, whether you're talking about religion or whatever, you know, there's flip sides of the coin. But either way, you know, I think once you have that paranormal encounter, it opens you up to being able to sense or see the paranormal that's around us all the time.
Yeah. I agree.
Well, I know this house changed me. Like I was a firm believer after that. That's the same house. Well, probably since I was 5 or 6, I would wake up from a dead sleep with somebody whispering my name in my ear. That probably happened to me all the way into adulthood. So
just whispering in your ear, not like touching you. Just
whispering my name. That's all I would hear is my name.
I think that's even creepier than somebody like touching you.
Yeah. And I would wake up, you know, expecting to see a family member, and there would be nobody. So, it was a loud enough whisper to wake me up from a dead sleep.
The only thing I can remember happening at that house that you guys lived in Bradford was one night I'd spent the night with you, and we were in your room, and there was like a baseball that kept rolling in from the hallway into the bedroom, our bedroom. And then we would push it back out, and we kept thinking Rob was pushing it back in at us.
Again, we were blaming my brother, who was not there at the time. Yet this baseball kept rolling across the hall to my room.
Kind of like it was that poltergeist where that happened with the ball.
It just like kept coming back into the bedroom.
Yeah, to me that house felt oppressive. To me, I felt like something was hardcore messing with me.
Yeah,
I don't know, if any of my brothers experienced anything. If so, they never said anything. But for this thing to target me and to be like, "Oh, she got her clothes out tonight. Let's go in and put them back."
I was gonna say, you know, there's a lot of times that you hear about females. They start having paranormal encounters about the time puberty, but you were talking about this was when you were little.
Yeah, I think I was 10 when we moved to Bradford, so I would have been 10, 11. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But just as recently as about 12, 15 years ago, I worked in healthcare for over 20 years, and I worked at Wayne Hospital here in Greenville. I had a lot of patients that were regulars, every hospital does. And I had a little guy who came in quite often, and this time he came in, he was pretty sick. The first 2 days I took care of him, he was unresponsive. We didn't think he was going to make it, Day 3, I walked in and got a report, and the night shift nurse said, "Oh, he's alert and oriented, and he's awake, And I'm like, "Oh, good, great. I'm glad he's awake. I went in and talked to him. He never, ever called me by my name. I was always nurse. Every time he saw me, I was nurse. So I went in and took him his breakfast and helped him with the bath, and later on took him his lunch, and he had asked me if I would help him call his daughter. I said, absolutely, So I called up his daughter and got her on the phone, and I told him, I said, I'm going to go to lunch. I'll be back in about a half an hour, check on you. Went to lunch, came back, the charge nurse said, "Oh, your guy in 208 died." So in half an hour, he called his daughter to tell her goodbye. He passed away. Me and another employee went in to prep him for the funeral home to come get him. She walked out to do something else, and when she walked out, I turned to walk to the bathroom, and he said my name. Not nurse, he said my name.
So you heard his voice saying your name.
Yes. And I remember my initial thought was, he's not dead. How is he not dead? And I whipped around to look, because I don't think my brain could comprehend what I had just heard. This dude is dead. How is he saying my name? And he never called me by name, ever. Never, ever. All the years I took care of him, he never once called me by my name. So that took me, back, because I was like, why is he, if anything, he would have called me nurse, not Wendy.
Yeah.
So I left that room and did not go back in until the other employee joined me. And I told her, I said, yeah, this just happened, so I'm not going back in there by myself. So, yeah.
And would he have known your first name?
Yes. Because part of our job is to go in and introduce ourselves. Hi, my name is so-and-so.
I guess I was thinking like on your name badge, if it said your first name or your last name. But now that I think about it, anytime I've been in there, it does. Most nurses have their first name on there. So, yeah.
Yeah. So he knew, he just always called me nurse. And so that was, And it kind of took me back to the times that somebody would be in my ear whispering my name. It kind of felt like that same kind of eerie, this shouldn't be happening, but it's happening kind of a thing,
Right.
How about Hannah's house?
Oh, yeah. Then my son and daughter-in-law recently bought a house here in Greenville. And my daughter-in-law is also RH negative. She's had a lot of experiences, whatnot.
With Bigfoot?
She thought that there was something funky going on in their basement. She was getting a weird vibe down there. So I had gone over one day, and she said, do me a favor and go down in the basement and tell me if you feel anything, just anything at all. Well, there's 3 rooms in their basement because it's a great big old house. I went down into the big room, nothing. There was a middle room, nothing. Got to the back room, and instantly all the hair stood up on my body, and I could not get out of there fast enough. So I went back upstairs, and I said, yeah, something in that back room. She's like, yeah, I felt it too. She has chasing powder. I don't know if you know what that is.
What is it again?
It's called chasing powder. And you literally put it in a container and light it, and it'll spark and create smoke. And it is said to chase anything out of your home, whether it be a entity, a demon, anything. So she tells me I'm going to go down in this room. She had already said, she's like, I'm going to do the chasing powder. And I was like, okay. So I stayed upstairs with their baby. She got to that room and lit up the chasing powder. And where I was sitting, it sounded like somebody was standing in front of me with a 15-pound bowling ball and dropped it on the hardwood floor. It vibrated. I could feel it in my feet.
It didn't happen in the basement. It happened upstairs with you.
Yeah. Yes. So when she came back upstairs, I said, did you hear that loud thump? And she did not hear it. And I said, well, when you got to that room, yeah, I mean, I don't know if something came up through the floor, but it felt like it was directly under my feet. And
Wow.
yeah, it shook me. It vibrated my feet. And she's not had any issues like since then. So I'm assuming whatever we felt is gone for now.
Yeah, I've never heard of that before. I mean, I've heard of saging, but chasing
She
powder.
goes to, there's a shop somewhere where she gets all of this stuff. I don't know the name of it. I know it's down around Dayton somewhere. So, like, she saged the entire house before they moved in, just out of, just to be cautious. And
Did they buy this house or are they renting it?
they bought it.
Be interested to look into the history of the house and see if something
Yeah.
happened there.
That's what I told Cindy about her house in Bradford. I wondered if we Googled it, if anything would come up.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance yet. I told her I was going to, because she said she had seen or heard what sounded like people playing cards or something.
Yeah.
And like a pool hall or something like that setting. I'm curious to see if that house or that property was ever, a saloon or, a bar at one point.
Yeah.
That's what I think. I do know Mom and Dad used to find arrowheads in the backyard all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. I know a lot of those fields and stuff around Bradford. We'd find a lot of arrowheads out in there. So.
Well, I had a friend back in the day, and one weekend we decided we were going to camp out in her backyard. And her backyard at the time butted up against it was a big open field. There was one great big pine tree that stood all by itself. And we had walked out through that field earlier that day just messing around. And, farmers, when they go out and they plow, they find great big rocks. And they'll just leave them sit until they get back to picking them up. And, while we're walking through this field, we'd seen probably, a couple dozen big rocks. I mean, probably 100 pounds or so. That night we were in the tent, we kept hearing all kinds of stuff. Just like, it sounded like people maybe off in the distance talking, just people walking, a couple of times we heard what sounded like a rustling on the tent. Sounded like somebody was messing with the tent. We got up the next morning, and all of those big rocks that we had saw the day before were in a perfect circle around the pine tree.
In the middle of the night that happened?
Yes.
That was,
Well,
I told you the last time when we slept out in the tent, we kept hearing noises and we thought it was.
that's the same time?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that had us pretty well freaked out.
And this is in Bradford?
Yeah.
After we're done recording, I want to know which field this is.
Well, I think there might be houses there now. Because I know they built like some apartments and stuff back that way. So that might actually be a housing complex now.
Yeah. After we're done recording, I'm going to ask you some questions.
Okay.
So did you have anything else?
You're talking about Savannah.
Oh, yeah. Cindy and I, what was it, 5 years ago? we went on vacation. We stopped in Myrtle Beach and then we stayed on Tybee Island, which is off the coast of Georgia. Savannah's about a 15-minute drive away. So that was on our itinerary. One day we were going to spend in Savannah. So we had gone to the Andrew Lowe house. Andrew Lowe's wife was the founder of the Girl Scouts. So they were pretty well known in that area. So the guide is taking us into
ghost tour.
Yeah, it was a ghost tour. The house is known to be haunted. As our guide is taking us into the courtyard, she's telling us about a hurricane that had hit at some point, and every house around that house suffered some degree of damage. But that house, the courtyard, wasn't even out of place. Like this hurricane literally just went right over top of it and did not touch it.
Really?
As she's telling us this is a big stately mansion, and there's about a dozen steps leading up to the door. On each step, on right and left, there are perfectly placed magnolia flowers. And on the top step, right in the middle, is another flower. I interrupted her and asked her, what is this? What is the meaning of these flowers being placed like this? She turned around, looked at what I was talking about, turned back to me and said, huh. She's like, I don't know. I've never seen that before. I took several pictures of it. None of them came out. They were all blurry. So I have no proof other than my word.
So we have ghost flowers.
We have ghost flowers. It's really, kind of weird, but I mean, maybe that was a thing back in the day. I don't know. Then we went, did Cindy tell you that we went to Myrtle Plantation 2 years ago?
Louisiana.
Did you tell me that, Cindy?
I don't think I did.
I don't think so either. I had somebody else tell me about Myrtle's plantation, but
We went, and initially, I don't think either of us was really feeling much of anything at first. The infamous mirror, as soon as you walk in, I was drawn to it right away. Right away. I could not, it was almost like I could not stop looking at this flipping mirror. I took, I don't know how many pictures of it, a lot. Went on, did the tour, got into another room, and there was a portrait of a little girl, maybe 4 or 5 years old. Again, was drawn to this picture, did not know why. I just could not stop staring at it. I took pictures. There was nothing really special about this portrait. I just was drawn to it. So before we left that room, our guide told us that this little girl was painted after she died.
They had started the painting while she was alive.
Yes, so they had started the painting while she was alive, finished it after she had passed. So it was her body, face, everything was asymmetrical. One side did not match up to the other. And when she said that, it clicked. That's why I was drawn to it, because when you really look at that picture, you can see that one side is smaller than the other. So the smaller side was after she had passed. It's slight, but it's there.
Huh.
But I could not, was instantly drawn. That's me. I get drawn to things. The first time I went to Serpent Mound in southern Ohio, I had to touch it. I don't know why, but I had to touch it.
So that Serpent Mound, there's a lot of people who, Indian mounds in general,
Yeah.
they say that they could be portals.
Yes.
So they have a very they have an energy to them.
At the time, I did not know. that you're not supposed to touch it. My husband was like, no, don't do it. You're going to get in trouble. Well, if I'm drawn to touch something, I'm going to touch it. So I touched it. There's times when we've gone on hikes and there will be a rock wall I'll have to touch, certain trees, as odd as that sounds. I'm drawn to, I have to touch it. I know what a flippin' tree feels like. But there's some that I see, I'm like, okay, this tree has an energy. I gotta touch it.
Well, there's another theory that trees are portals too.
So see, maybe I'm just trying to get the hell out of here. I don't know.
Or maybe you're just trying to open a portal.
I'm trying to go home. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Out of here.
That's how you call your alien relatives to come and pick you up.
Seriously, I really do. Yeah. I mean, I think it's funny that the government released all of these classified documents, basically admitting that what we've known all along, they're out there. And I'm like, holy crap, they're going to come get me now.
I can't wait till they start admitting that Bigfoot's real.
I know. I watched a documentary of a woman in, I believe, Kentucky who claimed to have had one visit her home on a regular basis. And she actually befriended it.
Yeah, you hear about that on occasion.
Yeah.
That people, after a certain amount of time. So what you hear a lot of times is you move into a place or you have a house built and it's very violent at first, like rocks being thrown, howls, and, just being harassed. And then after time, it's like the Bigfoot are like, okay, you just stay there and I'll stay out here. So I think they kind of get used to you.
Yeah, I think they're like any other animal. I don't think their intent is to harm anybody. They just don't want to be bothered. Now, who could blame them? I don't want to be bothered either.
Right. I mean, they're living out in the woods.
Yeah.
Thinking they're away from people, which is where I want to live and get away from people. And if people started showing up at my house, I'd be mad too. People going through my living room.
I would definitely be chucking rocks for sure.
Right. And then they come out there and they start beating on trees and yelling and howling and got cameras and everything else. Yeah, I'd be mad too.
I'd be mad. Yep. Just leave me be.
Have you ever had like a cryptid type encounter?
No, but my dad did many, 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 many years ago. He and a few of my uncles and my cousin were fishing. My whole family's from like Kentucky, and so they were fishing on the Ohio River. And they were on a sandbar. And a few hundred feet behind them was the woods that separated them from their cars. And it was dark. They started hearing stuff moving in the woods. So one of them grabbed a flashlight and was shining it. And just inside the tree line, about 8 foot up, was a pair of red eyes. And my cousin jokingly asked my dad, Ted, what are you going to do if this thing comes out of those woods right there? And my dad pointed at the river and said, you see that water? I'll cross it and not get my feet wet. And so, he said, they stayed there till daylight, and I want to think they found footprints. So
they think it was a Bigfoot.
Yes. Or it could have been one of our relatives. I really don't know.
A big, tall Wookiee.
I mean, I've got some uncles that are. So that was one of my dad's favorite stories, is he would talk about how scared they were, and they'd never intended to fish all night, but they weren't about to walk in those woods at night. That wasn't going to happen, so.
So have you ever seen any of your relatives?
No, there's some that I question. I'm telling you. I really do.
You've never seen like lights in the sky or UFO or
Well, maybe about a year and a half, 2 years ago, I was driving back from Bradford to my house. And just like as I was getting to Gettysburg Webster Road to cross to the west, there was a great big light just kind of hovering there. By the time I grabbed my phone to get a picture, it was gone.
what color was it?
It was like a really bright white. But it was motionless. It wasn't moving. It was just there.
Was it to
No
the
noise.
west?
Yes.
What time of day was it?
So it was just after sunset.
That could have been Venus.
I got a weird story. I'm not going to say it was a UFO because I have no idea. But it's one of these things that still puzzles me to this day. And even my cousin Teresa when we talk about it. So, I don't know. I think we was probably about 13, 14 years old. My dad had wanted to go fishing up at Fort Laramie. So Teresa and I went and we went swimming. So, I don't know. It was probably late afternoon when we got up there. And we can remember, like, there was a lot of people there. Then all of a sudden, we were, like, the only people at the beach. And it was starting to kind of get dust out. And, like, we were out in the water and we were looking up and there was this thing in the sky. And we were just drawn to it. All I can remember was it was silver. And we were just, like, standing there watching it. And then we don't remember what happened. And the next thing we know, we're still out in the water, but it's dark. And we're like, how did it get so damn dark? And my dad is on the beach and he's mad as hell, screaming at us, carrying on. We get up here and he's like, where the hell have you guys been? And we're like, we've been here. What are you talking about? We've been out here swimming. I've been out here for over an hour hunting for you guys. And you guys were not here. So
How
we've
old
never
were
been
you?
able for about 13, 14. And it's me and my cousin, and she'll tell you the same thing. I don't remember, I'm not going to say I was abducted or anything like that. It just is
I'm
one of these
saying you were
things.
abducted.
I don't know. They brought my ass back. They weren't keeping me.
Do you have a little lump behind your ear?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
You done been implanted, baby.
Need to get 'em-
pardon my language. Your relatives wanted me.
You need to get a metal detector and see if it's metal behind your ear.
Don't tell me that kind of crap.
They're talking now. Keep your jeeps on you.
Oh, God, did they pick a boring person?
Or when you're asleep, they're coming in the window and experimenting on you.
That's it. Right there.
God.
Just
I ain't
saying.
got no good body parts. So they ain't getting nothing.
Well, I'm just saying, you have lost time. You saw something in the sky.
Yeah.
You have another witness that now I want to talk to. Yeah. And you have a lump behind your ear.
Yeah.
Do you have any strange markings in the shape of a triangle, like puncture wounds?
I don't have puncture
On your
wounds,
hand?
but I have on the back of my leg. It's like a freckle. There's 3 of them in a triangle shape.
Is it like perfect triangle?
Yeah. But it's freckles. They're just like a little.
Are you sure? Did you finally show up at like age 13?
I don't remember. I just know they're there.
I'm just saying, Cindy.
Yeah.
Maybe.
No, maybe.
Maybe you were probed. I don't know. I don't know what aliens do. Ask Wendy. It's her family.
I know. That's probably.
It wasn't me, man. I'm telling you.
It probably was.
But
Probably your
now,
long-lost cousin.
now, who is with you?
My cousin, Teresa.
Now I want to talk to Teresa.
I'll see if I can get her to tell you.
Let's see if she's got any mystery thing behind her ear.
I'll she can tell you. Yeah.
Even if all she has is this a confirmation of you guys getting abducted by aliens and probed, that's all I want. That's all I want to hear.
If I was probed, I don't remember it.
Well, I'm just saying that's what they say happens up in them spaceships, and you'll have to ask Wendy about it. But I want to know if Teresa has that same lump behind her ear.
Yeah, I'll have to ask her.
Huh.
Inquiring minds want to know.
Huh. Yeah. This might have to be this episode's going to be like 3 parts.
Right?
The continuation.
Yeah.
Well, what am I going to call this episode?
Mass Express.
Lifetime of madness.
Yeah.
All right. Did you guys have anything else that sticks out to you other than? I mean, we had to pry the fact that you were probed on UFO out of you.
Right? Yeah.
You know, I haven't really told too many people that story.
Now millions of people are going to hear it.
Thinking that. Do what?
Millions of people are going to hear it now.
I know. They don't know who I am. Of course, Wendy's giving out my address and everything else.
There's gonna be some internet sleuth who'll be like, I need to find a Cindy that was on Church Street and before cell phones, because we haven't given out our actual age. Well, actually, we did in the last episode. So yeah, you're screwed.
Yeah. Well, I've been probed. Why not?
Right. All right. Well, we've been doing this for.
What happened to you that you started believing? Because you told me that something happened to you that changed how you thought.
Well, let's go ahead and finish this episode.
Okay.
And we'll continue to talk afterwards.
Okay.
All right. Go ahead and stop right here. And that's it for tonight. I'd like to thank Wendy and Cindy for coming back on. And if you have a paranormal encounter you'd like to share, you can email me at mythsandmullets@gmail.com. Have a good night, everyone.
Let's go rolling like a freight train. 'Cause what you make